I know that in Buddhism, they have this meditation where you meditate on your death.
Yeah.
Or there's even an exercise where you write your own obituary, or you kind of, I mean, it sounds really morbid, but that gives you perspective, and you look at death in the face and say like, hey, this is going to be everyone's fate, including mine. So
yeah, death.
What can I do to make the most of life? Yeah, sorry,
death and knowing how short life is, and knowing that there is going to be an end point, actually makes life meaningful. Because if there was no end point, if you lived forever, where is the urgency? There's always next year. You can keep going next year for eternity because there's no end point. But when there is an end point, it gives a sense of urgency. You've got to take action now in order to create a better future. In fact, I believe that your ability to collapse that gap between idea and execution is one of the most important skills that you can develop.
So true.
For too many of us, that gap between idea and execution is wide. Yeah. If you can narrow it, you're going to move faster, but also you're going to accumulate a lot of knowledge in a short space of time. So the first thing to understand is life is short. Would you get to the end of your life and have regrets? Or would you get to the end of your life and say, thank God I started, thank God I began.
Yeah.
I'm so glad the old me took action. Because the habits you embrace each day are either contributing to a legacy you can be proud of, or they're contributing to a mountain of regrets. And then the second is, what one tiny piece of action can you take today? Just one. We're not asking for a lot, we're just asking for one. And then tomorrow, another one. And the day after, another bit of action. Now, if you add all of that up, a year from now, that is 365 steps that you have taken. Now imagine multiplying that over another few years. Imagine where and who you could become. Yeah. That is powerful to think about.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're making a deposit in your account, right? You're making that small deposits and it accumulates over time. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I don't know about you, Simon, but the older that you get and the shorter your time horizon becomes, I think that urgency increases, especially those milestone birthdays, like turning 30, turning 40. It's like, whoa, where did all the time go?
And if you want motivation, what I encourage you to do, and it's an image I share in the book actually, is you do a circle for every year. So let's say the average lifespan is 80 years. You do circles for 80 years, and then you shade out every year that you've lived so far. And then you look at how many empty circles you have left to go. Now, if that doesn't inspire or motivate you, I don't know what will. Because whenever I cross out another circle, I'm inspired to take action. I'm inspired to be bold and courageous, because time is against me.
Yes.
You don't have forever.
That's true. But you say that it's important to have a strong vision as well.
Yeah.
Something that can pull you into the future, because I think that's something that can keep people stagnant when they don't have something to look forward to.
It's important, because so many of us, the reason we don't actually make progress is because we are working from our past self. So you might say to yourself, I've never had the opportunities. I'm not that sort of person. I've always got it wrong. I've never succeeded doing this. Now that mindset is working from your past, and it's never going to help you move forward, because when you're working from your past, you constantly have to motivate and push yourself. Yes. And we know that never lasts. But what you want to do is work from your future. When you work from your future, from your vision, it's different. It creates a pull. On one side, you have to push yourself. When you're working from a vision from the future, it pulls you forward. In the same way that you might book a 2-week holiday to somewhere nice and warm and a 5-star luxury resort, even if you have to wake up at 4 a.m. to make the flight, somehow you wake up at 4 and you make the flight.
True, yeah.
You don't have to push yourself.
You don't have to.
The vision of the holiday pulls you forward. And this is why when you have clarity on what it is you want to achieve and who you want to be, the clearer you can get on that, the easier it becomes for that to pull you forward. And when you're pulled forward, those obstacles and those challenges will feel minute in comparison to the size of that vision.
That is so true, and I can attest to that for sure. But the key is finding that vision, finding that thing that makes you just gets your juices going. It's like, how do you help clients find that vision? Like, what if they say, oh, I don't know what I want, or they just sit there, they're just like a blank slate, they have no idea what makes them excited. And how do you get them to create that vision?
It's interesting because while on the one hand I say you have to be clear on what your vision is, at the same time the question you want to ask straight away is not what is your vision. What you want to actually ask someone is, number one, what are you most curious about right now? Right now, what are you most curious about? And second, if you could have a dream of yours become a reality, what would that be? Which is very different questions. Because one taps into the present, which is what are you most curious about right now? Forget the future, forget the past. Right now, what gets you most curious? And someone might say, well, yeah, I'm really interested about exploring this or learning about this topic. And once they start learning or exploring a particular area, that's what builds clarity into their vision. Oh, this could be something I want to do long term. And the dream taps into their subconscious. Deep down, we all have some dream. What is that?
You think so?
I think so.
Everybody
has a dream.
Even like the homeless person.
Everybody has a dream. For some people, it could be, my dream is to become a house husband to a very successful wife. For other people, it could be, I want to run a multi-million-dollar business. Everyone has a different dream.
Or a great mom or a great
absolutely.
dad. Yeah.
We're not here to tell people what your dream should and shouldn't be, but people all have different dreams. It's up to them to decide what that is, but most of us don't know what it is immediately.
Yeah, and we allow social conditioning to impact what we think and our vision, like when I was deciding on a major in college, everyone was like, go do business, you're going to make money. That's easy money. And then I later realized that I'm actually a creative person. I don't do well with numbers. And so, but that came through the process of, my own personal unfoldment and, building self-awareness. But originally I listened to what people told me that I should be doing. And I'm sure that's the case for everybody. So that's another thing you have to contend with, in addition to understanding what really drives you.
And it isn't easy.
Yeah.
It isn't easy. When I was young, just like yourself, I was born very creative. My dream when I was a child was to be an artist. I loved painting and drawing. Yeah. I won a local competition in my hometown, and I thought to myself,
you're multi-talented.
Yeah, when I grow up, I'm going to be an artist. But my parents were always like, keep art as a hobby, focus on the subjects that will help you make money. And so I did.
They're kind of not wrong though, right? Probability, when you look at the probability, it's like,
I can also see where they're coming from though. And it's interesting because my parents were immigrants to the UK.
Exactly.
And
mine too.
What's ironic is they took a lot of risk to move to an entirely new country, new way of life. They didn't know anyone, so they had to build their friendship circles from scratch. In fact, my dad was the only one from his family that moved that far across the world. And so he was holding down multiple jobs at the beginning when we were born, just to help raise the family. And so you can kind of see where they're coming from. They took all of this risk. They want you to then grow up as a child with safety, have a secure future. And so getting a stable job with well-paid salary sounds, I guess, common to them.
Sure.
But what you come to realize is that if you're not doing something that makes you feel alive, you're never really going to show up as your best.
Exactly.
And what I learned as I moved away from there and went into business is that money, as a mentor of mine once said, a guy called Bob Berg, he said, money is an echo of value. The more value that you put into the world, the more you get paid. And that value can be anything from the art you put out into the world, the strategy that you share with someone to help them build their business, the products you make and people buy them. Whatever that value is, if you can provide significant value because of particular skill set or talent you have, people will pay money for it.
Okay, Simon, something else you mentioned in the book was about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary. And I find that so important because right now a lot of people are jaded and they kind of walk around like robots, or they're on their phone, and it's hard for them to pick up on the beauty, the wonder, and the magic that makes life what it is. So tell me, why do you think that is so important when it comes to living at a high energy level?
Because I think that when you live from a place of gratitude, you realize you live in abundance. I was taught this a lot by my daughter. Before we had children, it's very easy to work all the hours. You can always work into the evening, you can always work weekends, you can miss holidays in order to hit certain deadlines. But once you have a child, your window of doing work suddenly closes. You only have a few hours a day, and then you pick up your child from school, you come home, you want to spend time with them. The weekends, they want to spend time with you. And so she really made me understand what it is to be present, to be in the moment. And she made me realize that when you're grateful for what you have, and it's hard because when we're in the pursuit of always having more and getting to somewhere, we forget what we already have right in front of us. But when we do, we realize we have everything we already need. And there's this balance in the sense that you want to be content with what you already have, but also be excited for the future. And when you have both those elements in place, that is when you end up experiencing flow. You're in this flow state. You're content with the now, but you're excited about the future. The issue becomes when either of those disconnect. If you're happy with the now, but you have nothing to look forward to, then what's going to propel you forward? If you're excited about the future, but you're stressed about now, and you don't really like where you are, you're going to be constantly frustrated because you hope for a future because you're just trying to escape from where you are now. But when you're content with what you have, when you're happy with what is around you, and you have an exciting future to work towards, that's when you can live in flow a lot more.